Hello everyone. So welcome back to the second video on the basics of probability. In the first video, we discussed what exactly is a probability, how do we define it, and then we also understood one basic type of problem that is on flipping of coins. We discussed the cases of unbiased as well as biased coins and what can be the different types of probabilities. Alright, now in this video, what we'll be doing is we'll be taking it from there itself and we'll be understanding two more cases, that is, one is rolling of a dice and another one is of shuffling of playing cards. Alright, if this is the first basic video that you're watching on probability, then I would suggest you to please have a look at the first video, because in that we have discussed a couple of basic concepts regarding probabilities, and then come back to this one. Alright, and if you know the basics, then there is no problem, you can continue with this, it's completely fine. Alright, then let's continue with our second case, guys. That's the case of rolling of a dice. Alright, now unless and until it is mentioned to you or it is given to you, you will always consider a dice having 6 faces and having numbers 1, 2, 6. Having numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to be talking about 6-faced dice having numbers 1 to 6. Let's start with one single dice. Again, we are basically talking about the theoretical probability. Correct. So if I have a single dice, then we all know that we have like only 6 possible outcomes, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if I'm rolling a single dice, let's start with an easy question. What is the probability that a prime number will come on the top face? What is the probability that a prime number will come on the top face? So you will say that, sir, my answer is 4 by 6. And I will say that, sorry, your answer is incorrect. Okay. So this is something that I have seen in most of the students, that they consider 1 to be prime. They consider 1 to be prime, which is incorrect. We'll be discussing these things when we'll be doing number systems. That's an important topic for GRE and GMAT. So remember that, guys, 1 is not prime. They're basically like when you talk about positive integers can be divided into 3 parts, that is prime numbers, composite numbers and the number 1. Okay, so as of now you just need to know that 1 is not prime. 1 is not prime. So your favorable outcomes, if you're looking for like prime numbers, your favorable outcomes are 2, 3 and 5. That is, you have like 3 favorable outcomes. So if you want to have a prime number on the top face, then your probability becomes 3 by 6, which is equal to 1 by 2. And your probability becomes 3 by 6, which is equal to 1 by 2. So probability of having a prime number on the top face is simply equal to 3 by 6 or 1 by 2. Similarly, you can also be asked, like, if you're rolling a single dice, then what is the probability of having a number greater than 4? If you're looking for a number greater than 4, then you have like 2 possible outcomes, that is 5 and 6. So it will become 2 by 6, that's 1 by 3. So for a single dice, it's a very easy question. The questions are very easy. Okay, let's move on to 2 dices. From there, situation becomes a bit interesting. And there is like one important concept that we'll be learning in 2 dices also. A very important concept for GRE and GMAT perspective. So I have like 2 dices. So if I have 2 dices, then my favorable outcomes will be, sorry, not favorable outcomes, my total number of outcomes will be 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, up to 1, 6, 2, 1, 2, 2, up to 2, 6, and then it's like 6, 1, and then it goes up to 6, 6. So I hope you have understood, like you have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, and it goes up to like 6, 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, 6. Okay, and your total number of cases will become 36. Your total number of cases will become 36. Okay, for dice, if you want to calculate total number of cases, that is always equal to total number of faces to the power total number of dices. Okay, so in this case 6 faces, 2 dices, so it will become 6 square, like number of dices. So it will be faces to the power number of dices. Okay, you can have, like, they can give you like an imaginary dice having like 10 faces also. So you have like 2 dices having 10 faces, so in that case your total number of cases will become 10 square, that is 100. Okay, so I've given you the general form, that is faces to the power number of dices. Anyways, coming back to this question, the 2 dice one. So you're basically rolling 2 dices together. So my first question to you is, what will be the probability that some of the numbers appearing on the top face is equal to 8? Some of the numbers appearing on the top face of 2 dices is equal to 8. Okay, so pause the video and try this question first, please. Alright, so we just need to calculate the favorable number of cases. I want my sum to be 8. If I want my sum to be 8, what are my favorable cases? I can have 2 6, I can have 6 2, I can have 3 5, I can have 5 3, and I can have 4 4. Now 4 4 will come only once. Remember that 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4 5 5 6 6. These numbers will only occur once. These numbers will not occur twice. Like you can have 1 2 2 1, and again we'll have to count these as separate cases: 2 6 6 2, 3 5 5 3. So the order matters, so we'll have to take both the cases into consideration. But these numbers 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4, these will come only once. So the probability that sum will become 8 will simply be equal to 5 by 36. Will simply be equal to 5 by 36. You have a 5 favorable cases and you have 36 total number of cases. Alright. Try another one. So the next question is, if you're rolling 2 dices simultaneously, then what's the probability that some of the numbers appearing on the top face is less than 11? Some of the numbers appearing on the top face of 2 dices is less than 11. Sum should be less than 11. So again, pause the video and try this question, please. Alright, so what I'll be doing in this question is that I'm going to look at this question the other way around. Okay, I'm going to use my logic a bit, and I know that the maximum sum that I can get is equal to 12. The maximum sum that I can get is equal to 12. So rather than solving it for sum less than 11, because there are going to be like a lot of cases, you're going to start with 2, then you're going to calculate the number of cases. When the sum is 2, that will be only one case, 1 and 1. Then the sum is 3, that will be 1 2 2 1. Then sum is 4, that's 1 3 3 1 2 2, and so on and so forth. It's not the right way, because there are going to be like a lot of calculations involved. Rather than doing for sum less than 11, why don't I rewrite this question as 1 minus probability of sum greater than or equal to 11? Why don't I rewrite it as 1 minus probability of sum greater than or equal to 11? Because that's easier for me to calculate. Why? Because I know that my maximum sum is 12. My maximum sum is 12, and I'm going to have 12 only when both the dices are 6 and 6. I'm going to have 12 when both the dices will be 6 and 6. And if I'm looking for a sum of 11, then it should be 5 6 and 6 5. it should be 5 6 and 6 5. These are the only cases when I'm gonna have my sum equal to or greater than 11. There is no other case. So I can rewrite my answer as 1 minus 3 divided by 36, which is basically 33 by 36, and which is simply equal to 11 by 12, which is simply equal to 11 by 12. So now I hope you have understood like how to use this formula of probability something happening is equal to 1 minus probability of something not happening. This is an important relationship, so please remember that. Like once you start solving questions, you'll understand where to use it, how to use it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now the interesting question. So please note down the third question. So again I'm rolling two dices. What is the probability? What is the probability that product of the numbers appearing on the top face is even? What is the probability that product of the numbers appearing on the top face of two dices is even? What is the probability that product of the numbers appearing on the top face is even? So pause the video and try this question. It's a really interesting question. And in the meantime, I'm going to remove this from my board. We're looking for probability of product to be even. Okay. Understand now. Now, when you talk about product of numbers, let's talk about two numbers. Okay, let's talk about two numbers. What are my possible outcomes? I can have first number to be even, second number to be odd. I can have first one to be odd, second one to be even. I can have first one to be even, second one to be even, and I can have first one to be odd and second one to be odd. There is nothing else that can happen. These are the only four possible outcomes. There is nothing else that can happen. Now, if you're multiplying an even number with an odd number, your result will automatically be even. Take any guess, 2 into 3, 4 into 5, 6 into 1001, anything. It will be even. Similarly, odd into even will also give you even result. Even into even will also give you even result. But odd into odd will give you odd result. So the learning from here is that if you want product of the numbers to be even, just one of the numbers even would give you the result. Just one of the numbers even would give you the result. But if you want your product to be odd, then all numbers should be odd. Then all the numbers should be odd. If you want your product to be odd, then all the numbers should be odd. So for example, 3 into 7, that's odd. 3 into 7 into 5, that's again odd. But if I do 3 into 7 into 4, that will become even. So if you want your product to be even, you just need one of the numbers to be even. But if you want product to be odd, then all the numbers would be odd. It's a very interesting thing, you need to know that. Can be asked in different forms in the exam. Now, if I want to calculate product for even, being even, they're gonna be like three number of cases. Case number one, when you're gonna have even on the first dice, and an odd number on the second dice. Case number two will be, you're gonna have even on the first dice and you're gonna have even on the second dice also. And case number 3 will be when you're gonna have odd on the first dice and you're gonna have even on the second dice. All these 3 cases are gonna give you product as even. Now if in case instead of having 2 dices, if you had 3 dices, in that case you're gonna have like 8 number of cases. You're gonna have 8 number of cases because you can have even and odd from first dice, even an odd number from second dice, even an odd number from third dice. So 2 into 2 into 2, so you're gonna have 8 cases, of which 7 will give you even. Of which 7 will give you even. So how many cases can you form for even? They will keep on increasing. Why do that? So whenever the question is find out the probability that product is even, never calculate for even. Never calculate for even. Whenever the question is find out the probability that the product is even, always do 1 minus probability that product is odd. 1 minus probability that product is odd. Because that's the easiest way of solving the question. Now if you want product to be odd, then you need to have odd on the first dice and odd on the second dice. So if you want odd on the first dice, you have only 3 possibilities, 1, 3 and 5. That's going to give you like 3 possible cases. And if you want odd on the second dice, then again you can have like 3 possible cases, that is 1, 3 and 5. There is nothing else that can happen. Now you want odd on the first phase and odd on the first dice and odd on the second dice. So you're going to have a total of 9 cases, that is 3 into 3. That's going to be 3 into 3. We can prove that also. So you're going to have 1, 3 and 5 from the first dice and 1, 3 and 5 from the second dice. So you can have 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 5. That will give you like 9 number of cases. The probability for product to be odd will become 9 by 36, because in total, if you're rolling like 2 dices, then in total cases are 36. So this will become 1 minus 9 divided by 36, that will be 27 by 36, that will basically be 3 by 4. That will basically be 3 by 4. Okay, so these are the different types of questions that can be asked from dices also, the basic theory part. Okay, and this is like an important concept. Whenever you multiply like 2 numbers, like whenever you multiply numbers, whenever you multiply integers, there are only 2 things which can happen. Either it will be, the number will be odd or the number will be even. There is like nothing else that can happen. So my point is, why calculate for even? Why make more number of cases? Always calculate for odd. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to give you one more case. Or basically I'm going to give you one more question. And I would want you to use your logic in that. So what we are going to do is, just to make things a bit more interesting, I'm going to take 3 dice this time. Okay. And now we have to like imagine a couple of things also. Because like we can't form all the cases, it's not possible. For 3 dice, you're going to have a total of 6 cube cases, that is like 216 cases. We're going to have 6 cube cases, that is a total of 216 cases. Okay. So let's start with 3 dices. So for 3 dices, I'm going to give you a rough hint like what will your total number of cases look like. So you'll be starting with 1, 1, 1. then you're gonna have 1 1 2, and this is like gonna go up to like 1 6 6. Okay, and then you're gonna start with 2 1 1 and so on and so forth, and in the last you're gonna have like 6 1 1, and the last case will be 6 6 6. Okay, so I hope you have understood like what the cases would be like. Okay, that's the whole point, nothing else is there. So I'm rolling 3 dice simultaneously. What is the probability? What is the probability that some of the numbers appearing on the top face, some of the numbers appearing on the top face is less than or equal to 15? What is the probability that some of the numbers appearing on the top face is less than or equal to 15? So pause the video, think about this question. It's a good question. I feel that it uses a lot of imagination. Okay, now the very first thing that will come to our mind if I'm going to see this question in the exam or while practicing, the very first thing that would cross my mind is that I'm looking for a sum less than equal to 15. Is it feasible for me to start from 3? Because 3 is the lowest possible sum, that is 1 1 1. Is it feasible for me to start from 3? Okay, I'm going to have sum 3, then I can have sum as 4. For 4, I can have 1 1 2, 1 2 1, 2 1 1. Is it feasible that way? No, it's not feasible. I don't think I'll be able to calculate because I have a limited amount of time. I have like 35 minutes for 20 questions, and I can't give a question more than a minute and 20 seconds or 30 seconds. That's not feasible. That's not possible. So what can I do with this one? So we will go back to that same thing, that if you're looking for a sum less than equal to 15, you will do it 1 minus probability when sum is greater than 50. Now that's an interesting thing for the fact that, because another thing is going to cross my mind, that is the maximum sum that I can have is equal to 18. The maximum sum that I can have is equal to 18, and that is only one case, 666. That is only one case, which is 666. So let's go the other way around, because that seems more plausible. If I'm going to have my sum as 18, then there is only one case, that is 666. If I'm going to have my sum as 17, then I can have 566, because I need to reduce 1. Now I can have 566, I can have 656, or I can have 665. It's not that you can only have 5 on the first dice, you can have 5 on the second one also, you can have 5 on the third one also. So for 17, you're going to have like 3 cases. Come back to, go down to 16. If you go down to 16, I can have 556. And now again for 556, you can have 6 at the first place, 6 at the second place, 6 at the third place. So again, 3 number of cases. Or I can have 664. Or I can have 664. 664 will also give you like 16. So that is again 3 number of cases. Okay, now the first thing that students generally ask me, sir, how do you think about all these things? Like, how do you know that only 666 will give you 18, or 666, everyone knows how it is going to give you 18. Like, how did you think about 16? Like, it's going to be 5, 5, 6, and 664. What if I forget one of the cases? What should I do? So I'm going to give you a very clear answer. You need to know this. You have to, like, okay, for 18, it's 661. Sorry, it's 666. In order to get 17, I'll have to reduce 1. So it will become 665. In order to get 16, either reduce 2 from one of the 6s, or either reduce 2 1s from 2 6s. So you need to think these things. You need to think about these things. That will only come with practice. It didn't happen for me in a day or two. It also took me like a lot of amount of time, lot of amount of practice. So for you also to think on the same lines, it's gonna take some time. Don't worry, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna come naturally to you. So anyways, I'm gonna have total of 10 cases. I'm gonna have a total of 10 cases where my sum is greater than 15. So this part here can be rewritten as 1 minus 10 divided by 216, which means our probability of sum less than equal to 15 will become 206 divided by 216. It's gonna become 206 divided by 216, or you can write it as 103 by 108 also. Okay, so these are like the cases which you can have for dice. Okay, now the main objective of like solving these questions on coins and discussing the theory of coins and dice till now is that you don't need to like only emphasis on coins and dice. It's about like the main objective is that you need to generate that, let me put it this way, you need to understand that how to solve a particular question on probability. They will not only ask you questions pertaining to coins and dice, they can go like beyond that. They can use a geometrical figure, they can also use coordinate geometry, they can use stars, they can use the concept of standard deviation, and there are like a lot of things which can be done. No doubt we'll be solving questions on those, but my main objective is that you need to like inculcate that habit of understanding like how to solve a particular question on probability. That's my main focus is. My main focus is not to make you understand the cases of coins and dices. That's not the reason. Okay, the reason is something else, and I hope you have understood that. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing, that is playing cards. So when you talk about playing cards, we basically have a total of 52 playing cards. Which are basically divided into 4 suits. So you have spade, you have clubs, you have hearts, and you have diamonds. You have spades, clubs, hearts, and diamonds. So spade is black in color, clubs are also black in color, hearts are red in color, and diamonds are also red in color. Okay, now for each one of the 4 suits, you basically have like cards going from 2, 3, 4 up to ace. For each of the 4 suits, you're gonna have cards from 2, 3, 4 up to ace. And in case of GRE and GMAT, we consider ace to be the highest ranking card. We consider ace to be the highest ranking card. Okay, so you're gonna have 13 cards for each of the 4 suits. So 13, 13, 13, 13 will become 52. And then you also have like 2 jokers, and that basically depends upon the pack that you're purchasing also. But anyways, if the question will be pertaining to joker, then they'll let you know that how many jokers do you have in the deck. Okay, you can have 2 jokers, you can have a 1 joker also. Anyways, coming back to this, so you have cards from 2, 3, 4 up to ace. So you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you have jack, king, queen, and ace. Now there's a concept of face cards also. So there are basically 3 face cards, that is king, queen, and jack. That is king, queen, and jack. Okay, so 3 face cards for each of the 4 suits, which will give you a total of 12 face cards. Okay, then you have numbered cards, which is like from 2 to 10, and ace is neither a face card nor a numbered card, it's a different card. Alright, so this is like more than sufficient amount of information which you need to know. Now let's move to questions. Let's see what type of questions you can face. So let's start with something simple. So let's say you have a well shuffled deck of 52 cards, and what will be the probability that if you draw a card, it's going to be a king? what will be the probability that if you draw a card, it's going to be a king? Okay. So the concept remains the same, that if you're looking for a probability of drawing a king, so that will again be your favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. That will be favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. Now, a couple of ways of understanding this. If you want to use combination, please do that. If you want to use the concept of counting method, do that. Completely your call. Now, if I look at this, the counting method way, I can say that my favorable outcomes will be 4. Either I can have a king of spade, king of clubs, I can have king of hearts, I can have king of diamonds. So these are like only my 4 favorable cases. There is nothing else that I want. So 4 favorable cases or 4 favorable outcomes. Total number of outcomes is 52 because I have 52 cards, and you can pick any of the 52 cards. So it will simply become 4 by 52. If you say no, I want to do it the combination way, you can do it that way also. You have 4 kings, you need to choose one. So favorable outcomes will be 4c1. Now total number of cases is, you have 52 cards and you wish to choose one. So that will give you a total of 52 c1 cases. That will give you a total of 52 c1 cases. Hence your probability of getting a king will be 4c1 or 52c1, which is again 4 by 52, or that's 1 by 30. As simple as that. Okay, let's try the next one. Again, from a well shuffled deck of cards, I'm picking 2 cards simultaneously. What is the probability that one of them is king and the other is queen? I'm picking 2 cards simultaneously. That is, in one go, I'm picking 2 cards out. What is the probability that one of them is king and the other is queen? Alright, let's see what we can do with this one. First of all, let's take out like total number of possible cases. You're picking 2 cards in one go. So if you're picking like 2 things out of 52 things, if you want to do it the combination way, then it will simply become 52c2. Because you're taking 2 things out of 52. So your total number of cases will become 52c2. Or put it in this way, you're choosing 2 cards out of 52 cards. So choosing 2 out of 52 will simply give you 52c2. Now you want a king and a queen. You want a king and a queen. So if you want a king, then your total number of cases will become 4c1. Then your total number of cases will become 4c1. And if you're looking for a queen, then the total number of cases will also become 4c1. Because you have 4 kings, you want 1, so it will be 4c1. You have 4 queens, you want 1, so that will again become 4c1. Now, sometimes people do give me the answer to this question as 8c2 divided by 52c2. Like they say that, okay sir, we have a total of 4 kings and 4 queens, so that basically means like 8 cards. You want a king and a queen, that basically means 2 cards. So simply do it this way, sir, 8c2 by 52c2. So out of the 8 cards, that is 8 kings and queens, you have 2 cards, and 52c2 is going to give you the total number of cases. Well, what's the problem in that? The problem here is that in the question I specifically mentioned that you want a king and a queen. When you do 8c2, what does 8c2 mean? 8c2 basically mean that from 8 things I'm selecting 2. From 8 I'm selecting 2. Now when I say 8c2, I have a possibility that both of them can be king and both of them can be queen. I don't want that. What I want is a king and a queen. What I want is king and a queen. What I want is king and a queen. Hence it will become 4c1 into 4c1 divided by 52c2. You want, you can solve this further. So that will become 4 into 4 divided by 52 into 51 divided by 2. So this is going to go up. And this will become 4 into 4 into 2 divided by 52 into 51. Like I have directly solved 52C2. That will basically become 52 factorial divided by 50 factorial into 2 factorial. So it's going to be 51 into 52 divided by 2 factorial, which is in fact 2. So 2 factorial is going to go up. It will be 4 into 4 into 2. If you want to solve this further, you can do that. This will become 13 and this will become 8 divided by 13 into 51. Simply become 8 divided by 13 into 51. Alright. So just basic things. There is nothing else in this chapter. You just need to be aware of what you are doing. That's it. They can ask another question. For example, let's suppose again from a well shuffled deck of 52 cards, you are picking 2 cards one after the other. You are picking 2 cards one after the other. What is the probability that the first one is king and the second one is queen? You are picking 2 cards one after the other. What is the probability that the first one is king and the second one is queen? Now, whenever you pick cards one after the other, what happens usually students do ask, sir, with replacement or without replacement? They come up with this question, sir, with replacement or without replacement. So what basically that means, when you say with replacement, that means the card that you have taken out first, you're going to replace it with another card. That means, let's suppose if you have picked a king out, if you have taken a king out, you'll be left with like 51 cards. Now before you pull out the next card, you're gonna again add a card. You're gonna again add a card so that it again becomes 52 cards. It again becomes 52 cards. So for example, if you have taken a king out, so probability comes out to be 1 by 13. Now you're left with only 52 cards. Now before you take out another card, you're gonna put the king back or another king back in the deck so that again you're gonna have like 52 number of cards. That is what is meant by with replacement. You're replacing the card that you have taken out. When you say without replacement, so you're gonna go with the flow of the question. If you have taken something out, then it's out. For example, if you have taken a king out, that means now you're left with only 51 cards. And the next probability will be in accordance to 51 cards that you have. If you have taken 2 cards out, then you have 50 cards. And the next probability will be in accordance with the 50 cards that you have. This is basically what it means. Okay. Now, if in the question it's not given to you, if in the question this word with replacement is not given to you, then you will always solve the question without replacement. And you will always solve the question without replacement. That is, you're going to go with the flow of the question. You have taken a thing out, then it's out. This concept is also applicable for other questions. Like for example, if they give you a bag of balls, let's suppose you pick out 4 balls, and in the question they have not mentioned that you'll have to replace the balls that you're taking out, then you're going to go with the flow. So 4 balls are out. Let's suppose you started with 17 balls, 4 balls are out. So the fifth probability, or let's call it the second probability that you'll be calculating, will be without the 4 balls, because those 4 balls are out, so they are out, that's it. So unless and until in the question it's given to you that whatever you're calculating has to be done with replacement, you will go with the flow of the question, that is without replacement. That is without replacement. All right. Yeah, so my question was, you're picking 2 cards one after the other. What is the probability that the first one is king and the second one is queen? The first is king and the second is queen. Alright, so let's see what we can do with this one. So if you want first to be king, then you can simply say that your probability for the first to be king can simply be written as 4 by 52. Or if you want, you can write it as 4c1 divided by 52c1. That's completely your call. Like, it's completely your call. If you want second to be queen, now I did not mention that you have to replace the card. That was not given in the question. So you will now go with 51 cards only. For the second probability, or for the queen's probability, you're going to go with 51 cards. So in this case, it will become 4 by 51, or you can write 4c1 by 51c1. So your final answer is 4 by 52 into 4 by 51. If the question was with replacement, then in that case your answer would have been 4 by 52 into 4 by 52. In that case here, this would be the change in the answer. If I would be asking this question that I'm picking two cards one after the other, what is the probability that one is king and the other is queen? What is the probability that one is king and the other is queen? Now in this case, when I say one is king and the other is queen, you need to remember that you have to take both the cases, guys. You have to take king queen as well as queen king, because here I am not specifying the order. In the question, in the first question that you have solved, in that question I have given you a specific order, that the first has to be king and second has to be queen. In this one, I have not specified the order. I said one is king and the other is queen. One is king and the other is queen. So you have to take both the cases into consideration. So what's going to happen, the only change that's going to happen is this probability will be multiplied by 2. This probability will be multiplied by 2. That will be the only change. Okay. Now mostly people say that, sir, this answer and the question that you took previously, that was when the cards was picked out simultaneously, these two answers are the same. No doubt they are the same, no denying on that fact, but I hope you have understood the difference. Okay, I'm not going into reasoning of all these things, because let's not waste time on all these things, that why the answer is same. Okay, my simple request to you is that understand the cases and then solve accordingly. Let the answers be same or let them be different, that should not be your concern. There's a reasoning why it comes out to be same, leave that. But you need to understand, when you're picking things simultaneously, when you're picking things one after the other, when you talk about one after the other, then is it with replacement or without replacement? And if you also think about this logically, that when you talk about things being picked simultaneously, I never use that word with or without replacement. The reason is that if you're picking things simultaneously, what's the purpose of replacement? If you have picked two things out, so they are out, that's it. Is there any use of replacement? No, there is no use of replacement. Replacement will come into the picture. When you're picking things one after the other. Replacement will come into the picture when you're picking things one after the other. So that's the difference you need to understand. Concept is important. What answer you're getting, leave that. Okay, concentrate on the concept, that's more important. So guys, this was the basics of probability that you need to know. Now in the next video, we'll be taking up questions. We'll be solving different types of questions, and let's see what we can make use of. Alright then guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have understood the basics of probability. I have tried to be as clear as possible, whatever I could do. So if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, please do let me know. And please do like the video, please share it with your friends also. And please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't till now. And if you're looking for personalized coaching or individual coaching for GMAT, GRE or SAT, you know how to contact me. You can either WhatsApp me or you can even mail me. Alright then guys, thank you so much. Keep watching and keep learning.